Hi everyone, my name is Haz and I'm the manager at Cool East Market.
Hello, I'm Ivan and I'm the owner.
We're here today to talk with you about kids' shoes and how do you choose minimal and barefoot shoes for your kids as a parent?
I currently have a 4-year old, so I went through a lot of these stages of kind of learning about choosing the right footwear for my daughter, and just kind of trying to see what types of minimal shoes would suit her best as she's developing.
So we know that minimal shoes are healthy for your feet. How does this come into play with little humans' feet that are in the process of developing?
Well, it's actually kind of like the perfect time for their developing bodies and developing feet to have the full freedom that minimal shoes allow. So basically, as they're growing, as the joints are developing, and as their arches are strengthening, having more space, more flexibility in the shoes allows them to kind of develop to their full potential.
Mhm. And what are the qualities of barefoot shoes that are contributing to that?
So one would be enough space for all the toes to spread. So a wide enough toe box is a big one, and not only just spread, but also have space to grow into. Another one would be the flexibility of the sole. So having a nice flexible sole allows especially the big toe, but basically all the joints of the feet to move and move with more freedom. And one other one would just be the heel. So a lot of traditional shoes or conventional shoes have an added heel, and this kind of affects the entire structure of the body. So very much kind of similar to looking at barefoot or minimal shoes for adults. Taking into account these factors for kids is just as important, if not more so.
Mhm. When it comes to minimal shoes, a lot of the time people are looking for a tool to help them strengthen their feet or improve their posture. Are minimal shoes for kids going to help with these things?
Definitely. I think kind of just generally what we also advise is that it's not a it's not like a silver bullet solution. But there's definitely some research that surrounds kids especially, using minimal shoes or being allowed more time to be in bare feet, that has shown more strength and more development in the muscles of the feet. So this, over time, it's a nice foundation for the body to help improve their overall ability to move, and then help set up better posture throughout their lifetime.
So it sounds like it's really setting them up for success.
Yeah.
Mhm. Ivan, when would you suggest that kids wear minimal or barefoot shoes? Is that going to be all day, only for specific activities? And what about things like sports and daycare?
If the child is starting kind of like from infancy to kind of like when they're taking their first steps, I'd say they can start using minimal shoes right from the beginning. So as they enter daycare, they can try them out as their first pair of shoes. If the child actually has been wearing more conventional shoes for a while, then kind of similar to adults, they need a little bit of transition time. So it's definitely a better strategy to kind of check in with them, make sure that they're feeling okay, that it's not overly uncomfortable, and that they're not experiencing pain. And then over time, kind of gradually give them more and more time to get used to more minimal shoes.
Mm. So if they're starting with barefoot shoes from the beginning, then they would already be used to that. But if they have worn more conventional shoes, then there would be a transitional process similar to how it is for adults.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, like, just in terms of like situations, like experiences, um, basically wearing them all day at daycare or at school, there might be a time when they might be running around more, playing in the playground more, or doing different activities and sports. So it could be a good idea just to check in on which types of shoes have the structure that can kind of go along with those activities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always that the most minimal is the best. Sometimes a little bit more structure can handle something like scootering or biking or kind of like running all over the place at the playground. Whereas if they're kind of walking around, just spending time in the classroom, that's where something that is quite minimal could actually be a good choice, since it's not so intensive.
Mm-hmm. Different shoes for different activities. That
Yeah,
makes sense. I do that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When it comes to Canadian winters, obviously we get really cold temperatures, we get snow, slush, lots of rain. What can we do for our kids who are needing footwear for that kind of weather?
It would be it would be looking for the right types of choices that have the same flexibility, but also balance with some insulation and the right grip and treads for the surfaces that might be changing. So if it's a bit more snowy or wet, then looking for waterproof options. So a lot of the time, as the weather changes, this involves a little bit of a balance where we're probably not getting as thin and close to the ground as summertime, but in the winter, kind of adding some of those features that our winter footwear can offer, but then in some ways trading off a little bit with the ground feel that they might be getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do the same thing because in winter, if you're right next to the ground, that's going to be quite cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
you can
having
still have lots of room for your toes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, room for the toes while still having enough insulation to stay comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to tell us about barefoot or minimal shoes for kids?
Um, no, I think often it is just kind of testing it out with the child and making sure that they're happy with the process, happy with what they're experiencing, um, and just trying to find the right match for them. Like there's not always kind of like the best solution for everybody. It's usually just finding that unique solution and the unique fit that works well for that foot shape or those activities that they want to tackle.
Yeah. And I know that everyone here is happy to help people find shoes to fit the needs of their life and to fit their feet, whether you are 2, 22, or 82.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if there are more questions, we'd be happy to do another segment to follow up on any customer or any audience questions that are out there. So yeah,
Thanks for joining us today. And we hope to hear from you soon on our Instagram at Cool East Market or send us an email at info@cooleastmarket.com. Clap. High five.